Welcome to Eagles on the Air, a podcast coming to you straight from the Salesian High School broadcast studio. I'm your host, Steve Celestio, and on episode 2, I've got a great guest with me. I think you're going to love him. He is Salesian High School's marketing coordinator. He teaches digital foundations of technology and personal finance to our freshmen. He's also a graduate of the class of 2015, former baseball player here at Salesian, former Division I athlete. I'd like to welcome Randy Taveras to the show. Randy, what's up, my man?
What's happening? How's
Happy
everyone?
to have you. We're going to do a lot of talking today. Like everybody who comes on the show, I'm going to ask them the same question. We're going to jump right into it. Randy, what is your Salesian story? Start from the beginning.
Wow, Salesian story. First, before I even start my Salesian story, I just kind of want to let everyone know that everyone's Salesian story is different. I mean, it all depends on where we grew up, where we live, who we hang out with. But somehow, it all gravitates us back into this beautiful campus at Salesian, which is considered my home, which is considered to many of Salesian graduates' home. Well, my Salesian story actually started, this was 2011, and somehow, I was originally supposed to be going to public school in RK 141. I actually grew up on the other side of the Bronx from here, 233 on Broadway, and came to Little League. I mean, you're talking about back in the day. Nowhere near around here. Never really knew about Salesian, to be honest. I mean, honestly, all I knew was about St. Raymond's, All Hallows, Cardinal Hayes, because, again, it's on that side of the Bronx. But, again, I was probably, after I graduated 8th grade, I was thinking of going to public school, and I'm playing for Kindred's Little League. They have the travel team, the Knights, and we have a tournament at Baseball Heaven. I have a pretty good tournament. So happened to be Eric Mercado. Shout out to him. That was our former dean here, and now as the principal at Scanlon. He was my coach because I played with Little E on that team, and so happens his nephew, which is Kevin Delval, that was the baseball coach here, graduate of '98, was happening to just be around the neighborhood. Started watching our game, and it was one of those times where God gave me that great at-bat, and at the moment, clutch. It was 6th inning, down by 1, and I got a game-winning hit, left center gap. And again, I was little. I wasn't, I wasn't the right away, that's the stud. I was small, but I did my things. I did my fundamentals. I played the game right. And got that hit, and he said, hey, would he be willing to go to Salesian? And Eric kind of got the message to me. Then eventually I came in August, got a tour with you, and I remember coming in, Sister Barb kind of gave me an interview. You saw the grades. Shout out to my mom for always pushing me to get good grades. And first thing I told Steve, I go, Steve, where's the baseball field? And he goes, it's behind the campus, but let's take a tour in the school. And I go, no. Let me see the baseball field first. We go to the baseball field, I see it, and I go, thanks for meeting you. I'll be here in September.
That's all it took. I wish it was that easy every time. Now, I remember, I've been here a long time. This is my 18th year at Salesian, and I remember Randy's 2015 team like it was yesterday. I remember all those guys when they came in here in the 8th grade to just tour the place. I'm going to bring up one story. I don't even know if you know this yet, but I was coaching summer baseball with Coach Tommy Canella. All right, shout out to Tommy.
Tommy.
So I'm coaching a summer baseball team with him, and he's like, Steve, I got this kid. He's interested in coming to Salesian. His name is Panda. I said, Panda? I don't know. All right. He was like, he's going to come and play with us. Just see what you think of him as a ball player.
Andy Camillo.
That's
gets right, up, the legend. The legend.
He gets up in his first at-bat at Salesian, 8th grade kid, wood bat, takes one of the first fastballs he sees, hits it off the left center field fence. I started laughing in the dugout. I didn't know what to do. I just started laughing. I said, we need this kid. So we were able to sign Randy just by looking at the baseball field. Yeah. Andy was right behind him.
Louis
Arias was right behind him.
Sammy Zambrana came. Jason Gonzalez, Brandon Bautista. And then the year after, obviously, then the other greats came. Skylar Pichardo, Sean Casada, Nick Generali came through
big lefty pitcher.
Drogsnack.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, we had a pretty good team.
I used to watch this team. I used to go down to the field, watch this team play. They were like can't miss baseball. And it turned out to be one stud after the other. But we're going to backtrack a little bit because as much as I just as much as I want to talk about how good baseball players these were, we are on a school podcast right now. And I do have to say that whether it was Randy or Lewis or Panda, these guys were good students, number one. All right, all you guys, whether you were on the National Honor Society or nailing the honor roll every semester,
AP classes,
AP courses,
Mr. J, AP Calc.
Yeah, these guys were killing it in the classroom, and ultimately, when you were seniors, made it up to the CHSAA AA city championship game.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to me and those the rest of the guys, I mean, we played together and even against each other since we were 4 years old. Usually New York, and whoever's listening, you kind of know if you play baseball, you usually stay with your group. And group as in the sense of, even though there's different little leagues, you find a way to play against each other or with each other, either with a travel team or either with a little league or either with any club that you find a way or showcase eventually when you get to high school. You kind of find your group.
Yep.
And that was my group. And, fortunately, thank God, we were able to play with good teams. We were able to have a good support system. We all had great parents that always supported us. And I took the chance, and my father, I was lucky because he played with the Dodgers, and he came from DR, came to America, was one of the top prospects. Eventually, didn't happen to get to the bigs, but he was a big prospect enough to have all these contacts, and he always gave me the baseball route, and he always said school first, school first, school first, because he understood that without grades, you ain't getting anywhere. Yeah. And we preach that to our guys here, and we preach it to the guys that I train. I mean, if you don't have the grades, you're not going to get recruited. I mean, it's the bottom line. The first thing you went to Iona College, you went D1, you know how it goes. I went to Marist, and the first question that they ask is, what are his grades? Because without the grades, number one, they got to see if you can even get accepted. And number two, most importantly, grades equals money. And that's what I preach. I mean, I have a business like mine. It's just how my mind works. It is what it is. And, as much as it was tough to sometimes do homework after coming at 8 o'clock from a baseball game or even coming from practice. And, my trip wasn't as easy to come to Salesian because I had to take the Metro North, the 9 bus, and go back to the other side of the Bronx. But I knew that if I didn't do that assignment, I didn't do that essay, or I didn't study for that test, my chances of going D1 was going to be tough. And, good thing is I was able to get the good grades. Salesian pushed me to, take honors classes, take AP classes. I had the right group around me. We all studied each other. The teachers were fantastic here. And it allowed me to be a student athlete. It allowed me to have good grades. And it allowed me to actually have a scholarship that my parents were able to actually afford. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm not a kid that when I grew up was very fortunate with many money. We had to work for it, and usually that went to the necessity of the household. And, I had a little brother that just followed my steps. So, it wasn't just me, it was also him. And the grades at the end of the day were the path for me to allow myself to play D1 because of a good scholarship that I got because of grades. And then it eventually allowed me to actually fulfill my dreams, to play college ball, to play in front of the scouts that I wanted to. And I was able to play against many great guys that to this day you see them on TV with MLB teams. Yeah,
and well, first of all, shout out to Ronnie. Shout out to Randy's little brother. Another great student, another great ball player.
Class of 2021.
Class of 2021. Yeah. He was in my math class. I mean,
yeah.
Ronnie, show Ronnie some love.
Ronnie, let me tell you this about Ronnie. Very different from me. Same drive, though. He kind of did his own way. I did my own way, and our parents allowed that. But literally a brain, a genius, and took everything easy. Like it's just, he never stressed about anything. I was usually the one that was working hard until my hands were bleeding from either from batting or I was reading the books, and he just kind of read it one time, took a couple swings, and it just came natural to him. So
very laid back. He was in my math class, like I said.
He's living life now in Miami. So listen, even though you graduate from Salesian, my man is making it happen in Miami in the 305. So we're global out here.
Now, I want to go back to something you said a little bit about the support you guys got when you were students here. And if I remember correctly, even across the hall from the broadcast studio right now is room 310. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys used to have a study hall
Mandatory.
even before practice.
Mandatory.
Yep.
Mandatory.
So Coach, I think it was Coach Del Valle at the time.
Coach Del Valle and Tommy Canella, Mr. Canella at the time, he was the one that pushed us to get grades. And the moment believe it or not, the moment we had a C, he was all over us. I mean, if we either flunked a test or we missed an assignment, he was on top of us left and right, because eventually, again, we were student athletes. We were fortunate to be good. You know, we took care of it in the baseball field, but he was really on us on the grades, and I will always thank him for that. I'm always grateful for him. The big gato, that's Tommy Canella. Thank you for everything. No, really, because, you know, he helped all of us. And you see Panda, and the last you think of is him having a 3.3 GPA. Lewis, you see him, and you go, oh, look at this guy. He's only baseball. That's a 3.4 GPA guy.
Yes, it is.
You know, Sammy Zambrana is another one that had over a 3.0. And believe it or not, I mean, if you look at our GPAs, it was pretty impressive because, again, it was the mentality of if you don't get your grades, you're not going to play in the next level. And it also helped out that we played in great travel teams. I came out of the Bronx Bombers from the start of it. Andy, Camilo, Lewis came from the Grays, another great organization that is now still going on. And it was left and right guys were getting committed. And for us to get committed, we knew that the coaches went to our coaches, and the first thing they said was, what are his grades? And that's where Salesian, again, helped us all out to what it is now.
Well, let's get back to Salesian itself. If you've ever visited, if you're following us on social media, if you've ever been to our website, you see the words home, school, parish, and playground everywhere. Those are the 4 pillars of Salesian, not just Salesian High School, but Salesian worldwide. So homeschool, parish, and playground. I look at guys like you, like Andy, like Lewis, and I say, that seemed to conform to those guys perfectly. You guys had a great group of friends, teammates, who all felt at home over here. You all did tremendous in school. You know, you all built your faith. You all came here with not necessarily a Catholic school background, but a Catholic background. You had a faith background.
We all came from public school. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, all came from public school with a Catholic background. So we were able to build that parish, build that Catholic faith up. And then obviously the 4th pillar, the playground. I mean, from you guys being one of the best baseball teams in the city to all thinking you were the best basketball players in the school.
I was about to mention that right now. I mean, listen, let me tell you this. As much as we speak in baseball, and obviously that's my background, we probably in the offseason played a little more pickup basketball than we should have been swinging more. Yeah, when it comes down to home, I mean, as we got older here, it was more home to us in the sense of it just felt right. It just felt right. And there was times where we were close to the basketball team. Basketball had a great season that time. Yep. Shout out to Kevin Silverberg, Juan Mora, Gio Lopes, Brandon Price, Alex Roman, Justin Anderson. I could keep on going. But they had a great season that year. And us, of course, thinking that, you know, gym class was getting competitive with them against basketball against baseball. It got to a point where basketball had to stop playing against us because it got a little chirpy and got a little rough. But again, all playful stuff. And we would actually, when the days there were games, 7 o'clock here, we would actually go out to eat after school. And we would come back, we would play basketball, and we would watch the freshmen, the JV, and the varsity. And we would pack the gym, especially when it was Salesian versus Spelman. I mean, even to this day it does, but I'll never forget those days where we would all literally as a class, and I'm not talking about just baseball, as a class, 2015, the 2016s, the 2017s, we all got together just to watch our brothers. That's what we saw. I mean, we saw Kevin Silverberg, and he's one of us. That's how we see him. We see a Juan Mora that didn't play baseball, and he's on our, to this day, we talk to in a group chat. And we were so close to each other, and I'll never forget it. I mean, even when there was open gym night, we would literally stay until 7 o'clock, pay the $2, play basketball, and my mom is calling, blowing up my phone to come home, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it was 9 o'clock. So then either Sammy's dad picked us up, and we found a way to get home, but that's what Salesian was. When it comes down to the school aspect, we hone in on that. The parish, I was mentioning earlier, I mean, you know, when I was growing up, it was a Catholic-based house, And, I went to church when I had to, and I went to church on Easter, obviously. But when I went to Salesian, my faith did get bigger. My faith did get stronger. And I was, I did my Hail Marys at night, still to this day. I thank God every day for the blessings that I have. I thank God that my family is actually in a well-being. And today, actually, my cousin was actually born in DR.
Wow, congratulations.
So we prayed every day that was going to be good. And it's just those things. I mean, retreats that I can remember. Salesian Leadership Retreat that I was a part of that I'll never forget, that I still have people that I talk to. It was just nice. And seeing God, and Salesian gives you kind of a open mind to pray. And it gives you a sense of, it's not forced and it's not on you. It's more of, if you need to talk to someone, it's not just with a counselor, it's not with just a teacher, it's not with a friend, but God is there. And Salesian was, to this day, I still do and follow that.
I'm pumped. When you started working here, a few years back, I was excited because I remembered I was teaching Ronnie, and I remembered Randy as the baseball player, as the kid that eventually went D1. And like you said, I had the opportunity when I was younger to go play Division I baseball at Iona College, now Iona University. And so there was always like a baseball connection with us. And it's only grown. And Randy runs a facility out of Mount Vernon called the Pipeline Academy, where you train young baseball players. And one of those young baseball players is my son. So
Lucas, shout out to Lucas.
Lucas gets a shout out on the Eagles on the Air podcast. I love it. I'm happy that you're able to continue doing what you love, making some money doing it. But let's talk about somebody else in your facility. Big part of what Salesian does is build friendships that last a lifetime. And one of the guys that you have working for you, is Skylar Pichardo.
Yes.
Skylar, another fantastic baseball player at Salesian, and was a tremendous athlete, threw the heck out of the ball.
Still does.
Yep. And went to go play Division I baseball with Randy at Marist College.
Yeah, so Skylar was a year younger than me, class of 2016. Shout out to that class. Skylar, again, I mean, from day one, and like I mentioned before, a good group amount of us was from the other side of the Bronx. He actually grew up in the Heights.
Yeah.
And, we would meet up at Fordham. We would take the Metro North together. We would walk every single day, literally. At times, we would actually have to run from the Metro North, which is kind of a mile away, to here, which probably was one of the reasons why we were such a fast team. And Skylar, that's my brother, man. He not only did he play with me here, and we had so many good moments here and so many memories. I mean, even to now, we still talk about, hey, remember when this happened, or remember when that happened at Salesian, and we call the guys that it actually happened. So, but we actually played in college together as well. He was actually my college roommate. We played with Marist together. We won a MAC championship 2017. Yep. He was a big part of it. One of the few freshmen that actually was coming out of the bullpen when we needed him the most. And I was fortunate enough to be the starting shortstop. We beat Iona. Sorry to say that.
That's unfortunate.
And then eventually we went to the regionals at Florida, Gainesville. And we almost beat Florida. We did have a good game. But, that was such a great experience. And even from there on, he became a starter, became one of the aces at Marist. So to play with him 3 years at Salesian, to play with him 3 years at Marist, I mean, you can imagine how many moments we had together. And the same way we were at Salesian every day, at Marist, we were just right there with him. And anytime, I mean, the only time we were separated was either if he had different class or when the pitchers and position players separated. But we were always together. And, he asked me on his birthday, if I celebrated with him, he asked me if he wanted to come and be one of the guys at Pipeline, which eventually became Pitchcraft Pro. And now he's a phenomenal pitching guy. Took kids from literally November until now, and you go, wow. And I'm happy that he's there. Very trusted guy. And again, one of my brothers.
You're happy he's there, and I sit in the parent section while you guys are training my son. And it's me as not the dad of the boy being trained, but Steve, who's been at Salesian High School all these years. It's rewarding. It's beautiful for me to see you two guys still this close, all this many years later. It puts the mission of our school, it brings it to life. It shows it like in real time.
And that's the playground aspect. I mean,
it is.
People look at playground and you only think about, you're playing outside, you're playing recess. Yeah, that's part of it, but Playground really means when you're out there, and like Skylar, we practiced every day, we played every day, we did it in college. That's a lifelong, lasting friendship that you're going to have. And I mean, to the day I'm out, he's going to be there with me. Same as my guys from, we mentioned the names, Lewis, Andy, Sammy. We're going to be there together, Brandon. Another guy that, believe it or not, even though wasn't with me in the baseball field, Justin Anderson, Shifty. He's now training all of our sports team, believe it or not. And there's this connection where we all gravitate to each other to come back home. To come back to not only, and when I see the classroom, I don't really see them so much as students, but I see them as, that was me 12 years ago. Or that was me when I was a freshman. Mm-hmm. And it's exciting to give what I learned and what you taught me and what Salesian taught me to now the next generation's coming up, to follow that path. And whether it's following my path, whether it's following your path, but creating their own path, that they're guided the right way. And that's what Salesian does here.
It's tremendous. And I like to think that even though each year, first week of June, we have graduation, none of these guys ever leave. They may graduate, but they don't leave. It's the way we want it. I want it to be like that forever. And I'm going to put Randy on the spot right now. We talked so much of this 2014 and 2015 baseball team, guys that graduated a year later in 2016. I want to put you on the spot. You got the job of getting some of those guys back here on campus. I want to see them as a guest on this show as soon as possible. So you got to make that happen.
Yo, I'm going to send you the link. You better come.
Well, this has been the second episode of Eagles on the Air. I'm here with Randy Taveras. I had a great time. I hope that everybody's enjoying it, and I hope to hear from all of you in the future. But no matter what, I'm going to see all of you soon.